immune compromised. First of all, everybody should be vaccinated and boosted with flu and with COVID. Whether or not you wear a mask, or another thing we shouldn't underestimate is testing.
Come to the office. This is Milo right here.
How you doing,
Working
Milo?
on the campaign.
Oh, right on.
Is that an announcement? I guess it is. Thanks. I accept.
Hey, what's going on, folks? We have a few stories for you today. Kanye West seems to be tapping Milo Yiannopoulos for his 2024 campaign.
This is Milo right here.
How you doing,
Working
Milo?
on the campaign.
Oh, right on.
Milo's been banned off Twitter, canceled by conservatives, but Kanye seems to see the value in him. Also, we're gonna check out some Fauci clips and his quote-unquote public health message for Thanksgiving. We're gonna watch and react to those clips.
So when we're gathering at a family gathering for Thanksgiving or for Christmas or for any other holiday as we get into the winter, it makes sense that you might want to get a test that day before you come into a place in which you might be infected and spread it, or other people who might be there, in order to protect. So masking is important, but you can count masking, vaccine, boosting, testing. All of that is part of the spectrum of protecting yourself and your...
And also, Ben Shapiro doubled down on Lex Friedman's podcast, calling Kanye's speech Nazism.
Jews running all of the media, Jews being in charge of the financial sector, Jewish people. I called it on my show, there's Sherman Nazism, and it is. I mean, it's like right from Protocols of the Elders of Zion type stuff.
I have a lot of thoughts about that as well. It's gonna be a great show. The live starts now. It's the Dream Rare Podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles. It's the Dream Rare Podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thanks for joining today's episode of the Dream Rare Podcast. I have 3 stories of the day. The first one is Kanye West is tapping Milo Yiannopoulos for his 2024 campaign. Second story is Ben Shapiro keeps calling Kanye essentially spewing Nazism. And then the third story is Anthony Fauci's Thanksgiving advice, because everybody wants to listen to Anthony Fauci on Thanksgiving. Before I play this clip of Kanye, it's just like a 3-minute clip of him talking. I figure it won't get copyrighted, and I want to hear the whole thing. I just want to say real quick, here's dreamrare.com, my hats, my shirts, all made in the United States. Code is ending soon, all caps, one word, 22% off everything. That's what it is. But let's listen to this clip, and then we'll get into the story of him tapping Milo for his campaign.
And at Adidas, to take what he's doing and put it inside of a $2,000 box, so it's only for the rich people, that mentality is played out. It's a dinosaur mentality, and it's only a matter of time till we get hit with an iceberg. We have to raise our consciousness. And how do we have people scamming, selling dope, selling messages of death in order to buy a jacket for $5,000, $6,000 and take all the celebrities and we push that? I'm not pointing fingers, because I was doing the same thing until God brought me down to a place where I can really serve him. Because if I'm sitting on any kind of high throne that he didn't give, then I'm not in full service to him. All of the things that got taken away from me, I'm so thankful for that, because I get to serve God better. So going into Thanksgiving, I know the people at Adidas are not going to have the best Thanksgiving. I know that they're not going to have the best Christmas. But if any way I could indemnify what they've done, even though they took that IP, they hired lawyers to sign it over. I promise everyone out there, those designs, they still good by me. Those designs still good by me. I know y'all saying we not gonna buy them unless Shay got them. If y'all want those designs, they still good by me. I promise you. I can guarantee you one thing. On Thanksgiving and on Christmas, North, Saint, Chicago, Psalm, they gonna all have a good meal. And that's what we do it for. Our families. So I'm telling you, this Christmas, this Thanksgiving, whatever Adidas wants to drop, and you know that was a design that we put in, those are good by me. And hopefully this can like heal, this can heal some of the bleeding. Also, I know another thing is, for everyone in contracts, I know that this will never happen again in history. There will never be a situation where people end a multi-billion-dollar deal off of a tweet. Gotcha. Gotcha. So I would like to thank everyone that was involved with this negotiation. Thank God no one was hurt in the process. And I feel free.
I like what he said, especially at the beginning, about how in a lot of hip hop and rap culture, they're doing this type of stuff, rapping about this stuff to buy like a $5,000 jacket. That's very common. It's like, I want to look rich. I want Balenciaga. I want the latest fashion. And he's like, in order to attain that price to buy that product, we're selling a message of death. I know there's a lot of music about pill popping and overdosing on pharmacy pills and just being like a drug head. So I love his whole energy. I mean, it's so crazy to me that he's the problem. And this is why I don't believe in hate speech, because I hate the fact that millions of kids are dying from opioids. I hate the fact that kids are dying of fentanyl. I hate the fact that the government locked us down. I hate the fact that Pfizer and Moderna seem to have like a free flow of say whatever they want and you're not allowed to criticize. I hate all that, but that's not hate speech, right? What he said about a certain group of people's hate speech, but it's not hate speech the fact that record executives and thousands of rappers are profiting off the dead bodies of Americans. That's not hate, but that's hate. You know, this is why the free market of ideas should be able to work it out. And when we try to say one thing's hateful against another, there's a classic saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words may never hurt me. Now it's like you can literally hit someone, hurt someone, whatever, but words are literally murder. Like I just butchered that. But you know what I'm saying? It's so backwards nowadays. And the main story of the day is he tapped, and I saw a lot of people making gay jokes with Milo, but I believe that Milo says he's not gay anymore. He's like super Catholic now. He says he's come to the Lord, and Milo was a very famous gay Republican in 2016, perhaps the most famous, helped Trump win the election, was super involved in like right-wing politics early on when nobody was. And then he got canceled, kicked off Twitter for making jokes. I can't, to be honest, I can't remember all the reasons he got canceled or what happened when, but he kind of fell off the face of the earth. And then he came back and said, I'm not gay anymore. I found the Lord. And now he's working with Kanye's campaign, which is huge. I saw somebody say in the comments, this is going to help Republicans lose. And that's a question that I'm not really sure. Like, is Kanye going to run independent? Is he going to take more votes away from the Democrats in their black vote? Or is he going to take more conservative votes? Because I know a lot of right-wing people like Kanye more than left-wing people. So I'm not really sure. But personally, if I could choose, I would want Kanye to run as a Republican because I think he has a big chance to run as a Republican. And I'd love to see him on stage with Trump, DeSantis, Jeb Bush, or Marco Rubio, whoever decide, Pompeo, Pence. Wouldn't you love to see Kanye West on that debate stage? And this way, whoever wins the Republican primary can move forward without having like a Ross Perot situation. So I would like that, but I think it's pretty neat that he's tapping Milo. You know, there's reports Owen Benjamin has said on his stream that he's talked to Kanye. There's clips. People think that, you know, Kanye might be hanging out with Nick Fuentes, who's very censored on the right wing. So you know, I don't know which aspects of that are true because it was a screenshot, but it seems like Kanye's on his, I don't care, you can't cancel me, and anybody you previously canceled, I'm going to reach out to because I don't believe in cancel culture. Speaking of that, before we move on to the Anthony Fauci clips of his Thanksgiving Day big pharma advice, health advice, I missed this interview because I was on my cruise, but Ben Shapiro and Lex Friedman, Ben Shapiro doubled down and basically keeps saying that Kanye was spewing Nazism. yet Ben Shapiro refuses to debate Kanye West. So if you're going to essentially call him a Nazi or spewing Nazi rhetoric, why don't you debate him? Why do you only debate blue-haired liberals and Cenk Uyghur, like these easy targets, these left-wingers and these kids, but you won't debate Kanye West? I don't understand. And this is what the right wing does, by the way, folks. They kind of black out and blacklist anybody right wing that tells the truth about certain things to make it seem like they're the only conservative voices. And then they just dunk on left wingers to make this false paradigm of like, look, we're winning, but it's a very controlled system. So here's him on Kanye. I'm going to play the 2 clips and then I'm going to react.
What do you think about the comments made by Ye, formerly known as Kanye West, about Jewish people?
They're awful and anti-Semitic, and they seem to get worse over time. They started off with the bizarre DEFCON 3 tweet, and then they went into even more stereotypical garbage about Jews and Jews being sexual manipulators. I think that was the Pete Davidson, Kim Kardashian stuff. And then Jews running all of the media, Jews being in charge of the financial sector, Jewish people. I mean, I called it on my show, there's Sherman Nazism, and it is. I mean, it's like right from Protocols of the Elders of Zion type stuff.
Do you think those words come from pain?
So he doubled down and basically said Kanye spewing Nazism. I just want to say a few things. First of all, he said, about them being sexual deviants. There's sexual deviants of all races, religions, and genders. There's even a lot of Muslim sexual deviants, Christians. There's a lot of people that are into different stuff, and it's not like one group of people who's doing sexual deviance and everybody else is innocent. That's not true. With that being said, the founder of pornography was Jewish, and he did have quotes saying that he was purposely like blaspheming Christianity. So this is why I don't believe in hate speech, because it's like, he's a Nazi for saying that Jewish people have power in media. And it's like, and then you see Dennis Prager talk about it as well. And Dennis Prager's like, yeah, it's true, but who cares? And it's like, it's just like a weird, bizarre cover up, in my opinion, where when Kanye speaks, I feel like he has passion and he sounds like a man who believes himself. Even if you don't like Kanye or agree with everything he says, when he speaks about Christ, when he speaks about the music industry, when he speaks about his personal situations, I feel a man who actually believes himself. When I listen to Ben Shapiro, I feel like I'm listening to a skeezy lawyer who's like looking side to side. Like I don't feel the passion in Ben Shapiro's voice, and I'm okay with Ben smearing Kanye, but here's the thing. Debate Kanye West. You only debate 17-year-olds and 18-year-olds on college campuses. You only debate easy targets like Cenk Uyghur and establishment fake progressives like Anna Kaspar. These are he's like, oh, I debate Sam Harris. Sam Harris is a phony too. How come Ben Shapiro always tries to blacklist everybody on the right wing who calls out his nonsense and the speech laws he supports and the lies about hate speech he promotes to cover for his own people and then says it doesn't exist? How come he never wants to have a conversation about that, but he'll go on Lex the Robot Friedman's podcast, who blocked me on Twitter, for calling him out? I said, hey, Lex, I appreciate you. I really like Lex Friedman, or at least I did. I said, why do you say that it's all individuals and you should never talk about a group, but then you always talk about the group to use it to your benefit? All I'm saying is I'm calling out the hypocrisy. Some people are individuals. Some people like sports. Some people like their ethnic group. Some people like their country. Some people like a different country. Some people like basketball. Some people like Taylor Swift. I'm not here to put you in a box if you're Christian or you're Jewish or you're white or you're black. You get to choose your destiny. Maybe you love anime. Maybe you don't care about your race. But all I'm saying is it's not like we can't talk about race when everything's about race. They're firing you because of race. They're hiring you because of race. Racial groups support their own businesses, but when you notice they're doing it, it doesn't. Oh, that's all I'm trying to say. I'm not a hater, and I don't want to be misconstrued, but I can't stand the fact that Ben Shapiro refuses to debate any right-winger that knows he's lying, yet constantly smears like one of the coolest people on planet Earth as a Nazi. But let's hear his take. I'm going to play a little more. Then we'll get to the Fauci stuff later, but I have a few clips from this interview as well.
Where they come from.
And it's always hard to try and read somebody's mind. I mean, what he looks like to me, just having experience in my own family with people who are bipolar, is he seems like a bipolar personality. He seems like somebody who is in the middle of a manic episode, and when you're manic, you tend to say a lot of things that you shouldn't say, and you tend to believe that they're the most brilliant things ever said. The Washington Post did an entire piece speculating about how bipolarism played into the kind of stuff that Ye was saying. And it's hard for me to think that it's not playing into it, especially because even if he is an anti-Semite, and I have no reason to suspect he's not, given all of his comments. If he had an ounce of common sense, he would stop at a certain point. And bipolarism tends to drive you well past the point where common sense applies.
See, I don't mind him saying you're crazy, you're a Nazi. Like, I mean, he has the American right to speak his mind about what Kanye's saying. The part that I don't like is that he just won't debate him. This is the game that, in my perspective, people like Ben Shapiro and Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson, the intellectual dark web, they make this whole false reality that they're so smart and you're so stupid. And then they talk amongst themselves and they say, look, we're debating. Look, I'm Ben Shapiro and I'm debating Sam Harris. Sam Harris is a clown. He's not smart. I'm debating, Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks. That's awesome. That's great that you debate Cenk Uygur. But how come you won't debate Nick Fuentes or Owen Benjamin or me or any of the thousands of people that know you're lying and support speech laws and believe in hate speech and constantly cover up stuff and say that it's all hate speech? How come you won't debate anybody like that? Because that's part of their little illusion. In order to make it seem like this false paradigm of like me versus Cenk Uygur. Well, that's great, but why not have stimulating conversation? I mean, here's an interesting one. Why not have a debate with Candace Owens? Candace Owens works for Ben Shapiro or works in the same organization as Ben Shapiro. Can't say what you want about Candace or Ben, but they're both not like dumb. I wouldn't consider either. They're both smart and they have their own opinions. Why does Ben keep going on podcasts? Same with this Lex Friedman podcast. He said, I think Candace is immoral supporting Kanye and she's wrong. You have a lot to say about Kanye and a lot to say about Candace. Why not sit down with Candace? Candace had better takes on vaccines than you did Ben Shapiro. I mean, virtually every topic, Candace blows you out of the water, yet he loves to just go around podcasts and talk about these people, but never actually talking to them. So it's like, I don't understand why people don't realize what he's doing. It's like, why not have a sit down and talk about Kanye, vaccines, and everything and foreign policy with Candace Owens? Because he'd look stupid. He'd get exposed. So he can't do that. He has to just march around his little intellectual dark web friends of phony liberals and phony conservatives and just talk. Kanye's a Nazi. Candace is immoral. Talk to either of them. Why not sit down and oh, no, I don't debate them. I only debate Cenk Uygur. Yeah, because Cenk Uygur makes you look like you're a genius. In this interview, Lex actually called out him and said, a lot of your viral moments are like you debating like 18-year-olds. Literally, Lex said that. And he's like, well, I don't always just debate 18-year-olds. I also debate, Sam Harris. And we know. Here's another clip of him saying that it's basically classic anti-Semitism to say that Jews killed Jesus. I thought that was interesting.
Then there's sort of old school religious anti-Semitism, which is that the Jews are the killers of.
If you listen to Ben Shapiro long enough, he'll repeat all the speech laws that are being passed through legislation in the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, all these anti-Semitism hate speech laws that go against the Constitution. Ben supports all of them. He says it's anti-Semitism to say Jews killed Jesus. It's classic It's anti-Semitism to say that his ethnic group owns real estate and banking and media when everyone knows they do. It's all hate speech, right? Facts don't care about your feelings unless facts go against my ethnic group in a country that I like. Then I'm going to smear you as like a World War II persecutor because I don't want to have that conversation. Then I'm going to debate with Sam Harris and act like I'm so smart. I wanted to play one more clip, then I'm going to move to Fauci because I wanted to listen to this interview. I'm like, this is going to be filled with just nonsense. He talked about how he was wrong about the Iraq war, but then he compares himself, and Ben says, I learned my lesson about foreign policy. I'm more now like, who does he compare himself to? I'll have to listen to the end, and then I'll respond. But he's like, I've learned my lesson. I'm now just like this person. Hold on.
I think that my views probably on foreign policy have morphed somewhat. I would say that I was much more interventionist when I was younger. I'm significantly less interventionist now. I'd probably
Can you give
put
an
myself.
example?
Sure. I was a big backer of the Iraq War. I think now, in retrospect, I might not be a backer of the Iraq War if the same situation arose again. Based on the amount of evidence that had been presented, or based on the sort of willingness of the American public to go it. Yeah. Right? If you're going to get involved in a war, you have to know what the endpoint looks like, and you have to know what the American people really are willing to bear. The American people are not willing to bear open-ended occupations. And so knowing that, you have to consider that going in. So on foreign policy, I've become a lot more of a, I'd say almost Henry Kissinger realist in some ways.
So he says he's more like Henry Kissinger now. If anybody knows who Henry Kissinger is, he's one of the biggest like war hawks in modern history. So Ben's like, I've learned my lesson, and he doesn't even sound like he doesn't support the Iraq war. He's like, maybe I wouldn't support the Iraq war because the American people don't want to die for it. And he's like looking away. I find him so inauthentic. It's like, I don't think he's learned his lesson about the Iraq war. He basically said, I realize now that Americans aren't willing to die for this stuff. So I guess maybe I wouldn't support it. And, I've learned my lesson with foreign policy. I'm a lot more like Henry Kissinger now. That's like being like, oh, I'm a lot less like, Henry Kissinger, and I'm more like John Bolton now. I've learned my lesson. I'm totally different. I'm no longer a Hillary Clinton on foreign policy. I'm more like a Barack Obama. It's like, it's the same thing. He's learned nothing, but I don't know. I'm just like shocked that people don't realize it, but whatever. Let's listen to our other friend, Anthony Fauci, on, I don't even know which clips are which, but I've loaded them in. He's giving Thanksgiving advice because he's exactly who I want to spend my Thanksgiving listening to. Not, but you almost have to pretend like you do, or else they censor you.
Vaccinated and unboosted versus vaccinated plus boosted. That doesn't mean you shouldn't get boosted, but the real danger is in the people who have not been vaccinated.
So he says the real danger is in the people who haven't been vaccinated. He's like, you should get your booster, but the real danger is people who haven't been vaccinated. I'm just wondering, and I'm going to ask this as a question in the question format to spare myself from the communist censor demons of Facebook and YouTube. Where's the data that says if you got a vaccine 2 years ago that, that's so great, even if you don't get a booster, but if you didn't get that vaccine 2 years, you're the real danger. I'm just wondering, where's the data and the research paper showing? Because if the vaccine from 2 years ago provided this great protection, then why would you keep getting boosters? The whole point of the booster, it's like a flu shot. And I'm not saying the COVID vaccine is a flu shot because it's not. Most of them are synthetic mRNA. It's totally different. But the point that I'm getting to is like every year you get the flu shot because the flu shot from 2 years ago isn't protecting you from the new one. And if you really research the flu shot and how it works, you'll find that they meet at the World Health Organization, or at least they used to, and they used to try to predict which strain it was. And even the Scientific American, a mainstream journal, would report that sometimes they get it wrong. This was not my opinion. This is Scientific American mainstream, that they don't have 100% accuracy when guessing the strains of this flu season. But long story short, you're supposed to get the flu shot every year because the one from 2-3 years ago doesn't work. But Fauci's out here basically suggesting, oh, you're the dangerous one if you didn't get the initial shots, but the booster's important too, but that's real. Well, what about 3 years from now when it's year 5 and somebody only had 2 vaccine shots in 2021? Are they still being protected? I mean, does this guy even need data and science to prove his point? Now he just keeps saying stuff, and I guess you have to believe it or else you get banned off social media, which means it's right, and we have the clips of him and Rachel Maddow, Rochelle Walensky, and Biden, of what they said when it initially rolled out, but whatever. Here's him talking about Thanksgiving and, what you should do on Thanksgiving.
As immune compromise, first of all, everybody should be vaccinated and boosted with flu and with COVID. Whether or not you wear a mask, or another thing we shouldn't underestimate is testing. So when we're gathering at a family gathering for Thanksgiving or for Christmas or for any other holiday as we get into the winter, it makes sense that you might want to get a test that day before you come into a place in which you might be infected and spread it, or other people who might be there, in order to protect. So masking is important, but you can count masking, vaccine, boosting, testing. All of that is part of the spectrum of protecting yourself.
Give it all to me, Daddy. I might even just eat my Thanksgiving turkey with my mask on. You know what I'm saying? Just like, I'm gonna have my mask on my face, but oh yeah, and it's just hitting my shirt and like falling onto my pants. And they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm so jacked up off this Fauci, off this Daddy Fauci information that I don't even want to take my mask off to eat. I mean, test me. I just went on a cruise, 4,000 people, no test, no vaccine passport, but for sure, I definitely am gonna want to think about testing to sit down with like 5 people. Sure. Let's listen to, I don't know who this guy is, some expert or Biden administration person talking. Let's listen.
an important part of the conversation we have in the days and weeks ahead. Because here's what we know. If folks get their updated vaccines and they get treated if they have a breakthrough infection, we can prevent essentially every COVID death in America. That is a remarkable fact 2.5 years after we found this virus first in our country. But it's going to take all of us to make that happen. So please, don't wait. Get your COVID shot. Get your flu shot. That's why God gave you 2 arms. Get one in each arm if you want. Go to vaccines.gov.
Hold on. What did he just say? I got to run it back. I know he said God gave you 2 arms for vaccines. I mean, fact check. I could be like, actually, God gave us 2 arms to grab things and pick things up, like from a biology standpoint. It'll be like, fact check, false. God gave you 2 arms to vaccinate yourself. God wants vaccines. God made Adam, Eve, and vaccine. When God was in he was like Adam, Eve, Pfizer. You know, they're gonna rewrite the Bible and be like, I mean, you know, God had to make Pfizer too. But what did he say at the beginning? I'm sorry.
An important part of the conversation we have in the days and weeks ahead. Because here's what we know. If folks get their updated vaccines and they get treated if they have a breakthrough infection, we can prevent essentially every COVID death in America. That is a remarkable fact.
That's a remarkable fact. Is that a fact? We need the fact checkers. Please liberate me from critical thinking. If everybody gets their booster, essentially no one will die from COVID. I've heard that one before, but you know, I'm just gonna say, yes, Mr. Expert. Yes, God gave me 2 arms to just get vaccinated. Yeah, dude. Not to lift weights or to carry things. Just I only exist for big pharma. That's right. I don't, you know, arms are so stupid. I mean, part of me wishes I could just, you know, take it off, put it on a clothes hanger somewhere and just let them vaccinate it over and over and over and take selfies for TikTok, which I don't have anymore because apparently I got banned from TikTok. You're so right, dude. We all only exist to get vaccines in our arms. That's like the only reason we're even here. I didn't hear, and I didn't listen to the whole speech, so maybe they said it. I heard nothing about diet, nothing about exercise, nothing about mental health, nothing about being cautious of overdosing on pharmacy pills like millions of people do. You know, I mean, at this point, you got to be a damn fool to think that these people are saviors of humanity, and I don't really know how much more I have to say about it. What could be said that isn't there? If they said, hey, listen, make sure you exercise, make sure you try to eat a little bit healthier, make sure you go on walks, make sure your mental health stays up, you have good community, you know, you take care of yourself in every way, make sure you're taking vitamins or whatever, make sure your work schedule's on point, and then also, you know, make sure you're up to date with the pharmacy stuff. Then I'd be like, okay, you know, they probably care about our health a little bit. But the fact that they just go right, it's like pharma. And then you turn on television, it's like pharma. And then you say something about pharma and you get banned and you get censored. Facebook took away my money for a week. Thank God it's back. But they took it away right before my vacation. And it said, because you said something about the COVID vaccine. What did I even say about I don't even know. This is how stupid Facebook is. Elon Musk, say what you want about him, running circles around Mark Zuckerberg right now, running circles around Instagram. Their customer service is beyond pathetic. It's like, you're going to take away my monetization and you're not even making it clear what video. These people don't care. They don't want you to learn. If they wanted me to learn, they'd say, Anomaly, this is the video, this is the part, here's the truth, here's the proof that it's true, and now we've educated you. They just say, it's all gone, and I'm like, why? They're like, we're too, like, I wish Elon Musk would take over Facebook and YouTube and clean that up too. He's not your savior. I don't think he has like full-throated opinions on free speech that are perfect, but it's like he sure is, you know, getting rid of the loose fat at these companies and doing a better job, in my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. Those are the stories of the day. I'm going to keep this under 40 minutes. I just want to say real quick, the first story was Kanye West is running for president in 2024, and he's tapping Milo Yiannopoulos for his campaign. 2, Ben Shapiro just keeps calling Kanye West rhetoric Nazism, yet he refuses to debate him to create this false illusion that there's no conservatives that think differently than him when he supports speech laws, and he's not a good person, in my opinion. And then Anthony Fauci with his great Thanksgiving advice. Thank you guys for supporting. I'm going to read a few comments. And Facebook's cracking again. We got a lot of shares. I think yesterday's live stream got 100,000 views on Facebook. So maybe they're hurting because of Twitter and everything else. So they're starting to ramp up again. It seems like there's less shadow banning to some extent. So thanks to everybody watching on Facebook. Thanks to everybody watching on YouTube. And thank you to everybody checking out my store for my sale. Someone said in the comments I read that the code didn't work. It should work. It's just no spaces. Ending soon. The code is ending soon, all caps, no spaces. Both words together. If you do it like that, it's going to work. If you space it out, it won't work. So if you tried to use the code and it didn't work, that's probably why. 22% off. Someone said Elon is one of them, wolf in sheep's clothing. I don't expect anything out of Elon. I don't trust him with my life or anything, but he's doing a better job of running Twitter. He has transparent customer service. Even when you disagree with him, he's making it pretty clear how he feels. So I think, Elon is not your savior, but he's running Twitter better, in my opinion. For some reason, Elon's one of these polarizing people where, like, if you even compliment a joke he wrote, people freak out at you. They're like, oh, you want a computer chip in my head. And it's like, no. And then people are like, oh, yeah, it's like there's no, why I don't expect anything from Elon, but he's running Twitter well, better than normal. And at this point, I don't expect anything. Like, I don't expect somebody to take over Twitter and believe in free speech values to the perfect extent. A month ago, Twitter was owned by people who don't give a crap. So the fact that he gives a little bit more of a crap is appealing. If you want full First Amendment vibes, you can go to gab.com, and that CEO is a Christian conservative who believes in the First Amendment. You could use True Social and probably get censored based on some things, but not other things. We'll find out with Twitter because, Apple, they play this game. It's like, oh, just make your own platform. But then if you make your own platform, they'll take you off the Apple Store. And the guy who runs the Apple Store, I believe he deleted his Twitter account. So if there's certain rules, one of them being, I talk about this all the time, but it's way more crucial and important than people realize. There are certain anti-Semitism laws that are being passed by the ICRA and the ADL, and they want you to cave to these like 30 hate speech laws. And if you don't do that on Twitter, I know they're already begging Elon to do, they could take his whole account off of Twitter. So there's certain rules and hate speech laws that they have, and if you don't follow them, they will use their power to destroy you. I mean, the same thing could be said for like Joe Rogan. This is just an easy example, but Joe Rogan was on YouTube. He didn't like how he was being censored. Spotify offered him hundreds of millions of dollars or something. So he went to Spotify. And then what did they do? They tried to strong arm him off Spotify because he was hosting doctors who were talking against the COVID tyranny regime. So this is the game they play. Oh, we don't care. Go make your own platform. But you make your own platform, they try to ruin your life on that platform. These people are phony. They don't want you to have free speech on their platform. They don't want you to be on Twitter. And they don't want you to make your own platform that exceeds theirs. So, I would say Elon taking over is a net positive. But he's not, if you expect a lot from Elon Musk, that's on you. He's a billionaire. He's a little wild. He's kind of quirky. So, I don't know who told people that Elon Musk was going to do everything that they've ever wanted. He's going to do more than most, but he's going to fall short of the person you want. But that's on you, in my opinion. Why even think he's going to do that much? Let me see. I'm going to read some comments. Let's see. Someone said, talk about the jab they're trying to pass in Cali for our kids to go to schools. Yeah, California is a very corrupt state, and we'll see what happens. I think if that happens, it's a parent's responsibility to take them out of school. That's just at this point, it's unfortunate because it's nice to just drop your kids off at public school, but that's just not the world we live in. So if that happens, I think, people need to take their kids out of school if they don't want them to get forced vaccinated. It's getting real creepy in California anyway for public schools because, you got to watch some of the laws that these people are passing. in some areas in the country and in the world, they're passing laws where they can basically like take your kids from you. I'm not saying literally, but like they could get, I know was it Canada, where they were saying that they could vaccinate the kids at school without their parents' permission. I don't quote me on that, but you get what I'm saying. It's not the 70s. It's not the 60s. It's not the 50s. In my opinion, sending your kid to public school is like believing Elon Musk is going to save your life. It's not the public school's fault anymore. It's people's fault for not realizing that public schools are, especially in California, are sneaky. You know, I think we have to identify that, but easier said than done. Let's see. Someone said it's an info war. I agree. Let's see. I'm going to read a few more comments. I think he let Kanye back on Twitter. Kanye is on Twitter. He's not tweeting much, but hopefully he does more podcasts soon because they're super fun. I would love to. I mean, I'm going to try to debate somebody, but I've been telling people this for years. I'm not just like hating on Ben Shapiro or something. I think he does some good work, and I think, he runs a great business. But what annoys me about these type of conservatives is they're playing this game where they don't want to be challenged from the right. They blacklist everybody to the right of them that they consider a threat to their ideology. They call you racist. They call you anti-Semitic. They call you homophobic sometimes. And then they just debate left-wingers. It's creating this false paradigm. There's dozens of right-wingers that could make Charlie Kirk look like a phony, that could make Ben Shapiro look like a phony. I'm not hating on them. I'm just saying these are not the most truthful conservatives ever. But what they do is basically when somebody challenges Charlie Kirk or Ben Shapiro from the right over the last couple of years, they said, "Oh my God, you're anti-Semitic." But that's just saying hate speech. That would be like if Charlie Kirk said build a wall and I just said you're a racist. It doesn't mean that the people you're disagreeing with are better than you. But if you use those type of words, that just means basically you're considering what they're saying hate speech. And I don't believe in hate speech when it comes to race. Like, that's not a thing. If you say something hateful about a certain race, I should be able to explain why it's hateful. So that's what Shapiro and Kirk do with all their power, is they black out anybody who tells the truth to the right of them, just has these like little, right-wing gatherings and makes everybody think that there's no other battles going on. And I'm not saying this for any other reason, but it's long past due for Ben Shapiro to have a debate on this stuff. It's long past due for Charlie Kirk to have a debate on this stuff, but they don't. They smear anybody telling the truth about these things as hate speech. They take big donor money, and then they run around and act like they're doing something for the country when they're really not. So I don't need anything that they have. I don't want their power or money or anything. It's more just like I think they're both inconsistent on free speech and the concept of hate speech. And, I think overall, it's been proven why you shouldn't think that things are hate speech. For example, during the COVID lockdowns, almost everything they censored was legitimate. I'm not saying everybody that made a conspiracy theory is true. There's a lot of bad theories out there that aren't true. But for the most part, it's like, oh, you can't criticize the lockdown. You can't say that COVID came from a bat or something or came from a lab. All that you can't criticize the COVID vaccine. All the things that they covered up ended up being legitimate concerns, whether they were true or not. And all the censorship based on health, they hurt millions of people. I mean, they're not allowing you to disagree with the lockdown, yet the lockdown is psychologically, mentally, physically, and economically abusing our whole country. Oh, but you can't talk about it. So, that is pretty clear that they shouldn't be censoring speech. And even with all of this, hate speech based on race, religion, etc., I don't think that that's made this country better. I don't think that it's healing racial tension. I think it's only providing double standards and hypocrisy that tick more people off. And, I think the Kanye situation kind of proved that as well. I understand that it wasn't the most graceful way to say stuff. And as far as the Kyrie Irving stuff, it's like, I didn't even watch the documentary, but I think that just shows you what type of country we live in. If you post an Amazon link about black people being Jews, society collapses on you. But if you're a black celebrity and you rap about killing other black people or drugs, nobody cares. That's status quo. So what you get what I'm saying? Like the moral equivalency, it's like if you're going to get mad at a documentary about black people being Jews or something, why aren't you mad that black culture is literally killing their own race based on a cultural idea that it's cool to do gang violence and buy expensive clothes with the money you made from doing that. So, just saying something's hateful just is a cover up. So, that's what that means. If you say, oh, well, I don't want to debate those right wingers. They're homophobic and anti-Semitic and racist, and I'm a better. It's like, yeah, that to me, that just means you believe in hate speech. So that's all that means. I think what you're saying is hate speech, and I don't have to. It's most likely not, in my opinion. And I think the Anti-Defamation League kind of shows like they're a terrible organization. You can't stop hate with speech censorship. That's not how it works. So it's like people will then be like, oh, if you want that to be there, you must be them. And it's like, you can't stop hate by cutting a man's tongue out. It's not a legitimate, there's hate is going to grow in this country because we're such a phony country that's so backwards. I mean, we're so pathetic, no offense. Now you have the NFL tweeting about transgender rights. Like, I'm sorry, but it's like, no matter what you think about transgender, non-binary stuff, like, are you getting your education from the NHL? The NHL needs to tell me what to think about science now. It's just like, we're a pathetic country. And I think it's great that the World Cup's in Qatar, because the Qatar and the Muslim nations are showing America what it's like to not be so pathetic. They're like, no beer at the stadium. And everyone's like, oh my God, no. It's like, can you stop drinking beer for 2 weeks? Like, you can't drink beer before you go in the stadium? Like, people are having a meltdown over the fact that the Muslims won't let them drink beer at a sports game. It's like, grow up. And then you can't wear a rainbow flag. It's like, it's kind of just weird. Here's what I was talking to one of my neighbors today, and we were talking about how at Qatar they're not allowing people to put their like sexuality on a piece of clothes, without being too vulgar, because this is somewhat of a family show. I don't know at this point. Qatar, I don't care how you say it. I'm gonna say Qatar. I could just say QAnon. I'm gonna call it whatever I want, and you can correct me. But in general, like, I always think it's funny to make your sexuality like so known, because imagine if like, you were like kinky and into like bondage, and it's like all you did was, I'm wearing a bondage shirt to the World Cup. It's like, can you keep your sexuality to yourself for a week? If you can't keep your sexuality to yourself for a week, like go to a sex club or something. You know what I'm saying? Don't travel to a Muslim country to watch the sports. It's just weird. It's like, I love blowjobs, and you like put it on your shirt. You're like, blowjobs, blowjobs, blowjobs. And then it's like, excuse me, sir, you're in a Muslim country. We don't want you promoting blowjobs at this event. You're like, oh, geez. You're like, this is a discriminate. It's like, if you're that like sexually charged, stop going to soccer games in Qatar or however you say it, and go to a sex club in San Francisco or something. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, so funny that just sodomy is like, oh, it's got to be on my shirt all the time. I need to tell people that I'm into, but like, can you keep it to yourself for 2 weeks? You can't. Even if you do it, you can't keep it to yourself for 2 weeks. Like, my sexual escapades aren't like the highlight of my work. Like, I got to put it on a shirt. I got to show people like, here's the craziest 5 things I've ever done sexually on my shirt, and they're like, excuse me, sir, this is Qatar. And you're like, oh, whoa, gee, who the, like, just come on. It's like the fact that it's been so normalized and promoted, it's just like so corny, like, it makes me a good person. It really doesn't. It really doesn't make you a good person. It doesn't make you impressive. It kind of is like a cop-out for like you not being impressive, so you got to make it your whole identity. I personally feel the same thing about like certain racial groups too. If you love your own people, if you love your own race, if you love your own gender, I personally don't have a problem with it. I'm not going to call you a racist or sexist because I think it's human nature. But like, if you have a man who has like a I'm a man shirt on, like alpha man, like there's nothing more beta than wearing an alpha man shirt. Like, I'm alpha, It's like, yeah, you sure are, bro. Like, you don't need to put it on a shirt. And same with like, your race. I think it's fine to like your people, but like if your whole life is based around your race, regardless of what race it is, to me it's kind of a cop-out of doing something interesting yourself. Like, at least if you're like an Olympic athlete and you're like, I love America, and everyone's like, hell yeah, at least you did something to like put on for your people. If you're just sitting there talking about your race or your gender It's like, what are you doing though? At least like go do something epic and then do it. Wyatt Elder said, you and a few others have inspired me to start a channel. I was wondering if you'd willing to be my first special guest. Possibly, but I'm super busy. You could email me though. But that's just my opinion. Like when I see shirts too, that'll be like, I'm a proud woman, I'm a woman, and I'm hot because I'm a woman. It's like, to me, that's just screaming insecurity. You know, like I'm insecure, but who knows? Everybody's got a phrase on their shirt. That's just my personal interpretation. Good luck with your YouTube channel too. It's like, I'm a man and here's my man shirt. I'm a woman and a woman are great. It's like, yeah, all 4 billion of them. They're so great. But whatever. It's not up to me. I got some shirts too that are not popular. Someone said a great personality shouldn't be announced but discovered. Yeah, I always use Freddie Mercury as an example. Like if he was just like a flaming, like degenerate in San Francisco, just like pissing on the streets, like no one would care. Like, and I'm not saying it matters. Like you don't have to be a great musician, but Freddie Mercury, like, yeah, he was gay, but he also made music better than like straight people. So it's like, you can hate it if you want. You don't have to like his sexual escapades, but you got to admit like, Bohemian Rhapsody's fire, and if you're straight and you can't make it, like, oh well, like it's not your song, it's his song. So someone said I'm not a fan of Queen. I mean, Queen is fire. Not everybody likes them, but Bohemian Rhapsody, We Will Rock You, like they got some bangers. Like they're definitely a unique group. But even him, it's like, his gayness was only relevant because his music was relevant. Like it wasn't the other way around. Like everybody just listened to his music because he was gay. It's like, no, his music was fire. And then it's like, once you're good at something, it's like LeBron. LeBron could come out and be a tranny and like, you just kind of have to deal with it. It's like, you don't have to like it, but it's like, yeah, they're not going to kick him out of the NBA. He's too good at basketball. So I just, I like to tell everybody to strive for greatness. You're not going to be Queen or LeBron, but this idea that everybody's like amazing just because they're gay or something, it's like, yeah, all men are great. Like, no, there's some losers out there for sure. I think we should be nice to men. I think men are, being bullied to some extent, like by media, but I don't think every guy is like great. There's lots of losers out there. So why would I wear a shirt that's like all men are great? It's like, that's weird. That's not true. And it's weird, but everybody's got their own thing. If you want to put on for your gender, knock yourself out the park. I don't care. Someone said his music was fantastic. For sure. It was very, very good. Let's see. Queen was very thought of as strange at the time. I mean, they're still strange, but sometimes, strange music is good music. Let's see. I'm going to read a few more comments and I'm going to roll out. Maybe I'll just keep it short anyway. Appreciate you guys. God bless you. Thank you for watching. And thank you guys for sharing my live streams yesterday. I just want to give a few updates real quick. If you check the bottom, maybe I should change this, but oh no, it's going. Come back. Okay, there it is. DreamRareLinks.com. You'll see it on the bottom. I have all my links, my Facebook, YouTube, BitChute, Rumble. I got to delete my TikTok because they deleted me, but all of that stuff's there. And thank you guys for checking that out. And then I just want to show you real quick until I think Saturday, I have a Black Friday sale, where people beat each other up over like a flat screen TV. You don't have to beat anybody up over a flat screen. All you have to do, oh wait, where am I? All you have to do is go to dreamrare.com. No fights, no World Star appearances, no, Daily Mail articles about you getting punched in the face over a TV that you probably could have got anyway. DreamRare.com, the code is ending soon, and it's all one word. If it didn't work, you probably didn't spell it right. All caps, ending soon, ENDINGSOON, all one word. 22% off everything, same price as they were 2 weeks ago, except 22% off. So this is the best time to get it. I'm not buying any more product this year, so everything's going to sell out. And when it does, it is what it is. I might make more in the new year. I might move on to different stuff. We'll see. But thank you guys so much. And thanks for sharing and watching the live stream. Dream Rare Podcast also available on Spotify, Apple, Rumble, BitChute. And that's pretty much it. I don't know. Sometimes Gab. Let me know what you think in the comments. Have a good day.